County coronavirus cases continue to surge. As of this morning, there are 650 new diagnoses. That puts the total number at 10,797. That's not the only number rising either. Right now, there are close to 900 people in the hospital. People 29 and younger now make up more than 35% of all the cases in our area. Erica Zucco joins us now. And Erica, the hospitals really having to kind of change their demographics. They're focusing more now on young people.
Yeah, Barry, they really want to get the word out that people in their 20s have made up some of the biggest numbers of people who are catching coronavirus here in Bexar County and really across the nation as well. But the focus isn't just on those people in their 20s. Judge Nelson Wolf says that parents should also think about the decisions they're making about their families so that coronavirus doesn't spread among young children as well, and then they bring that home to other family members, infecting more people. But this is really complicated, and it's kind of a balancing act. The American Academy of Pediatrics just released a statement saying that they believe that students should be going back to school in person next fall and that they need these social settings for mental health and those in-person needs as well. But of course, there are the concerns about the disease spreading. Well, Judge Nelson Wolf said that for right now, it's a good idea for people to be canceling those summer sports programs wherever possible. He asked parents to discourage teens and young adults from going to the beach or other parties this holiday weekend and thanked school districts that chose to suspend their summer sports programs or move them to virtual meeting settings.
I want to thank Northeast District, Judson District, Edgewood District, Harlandale, and there be others that have suspended their summer sports programs. This is not the time to bring young people together and possibly causing a great deal more trouble than we have already.
And following that announcement, SAISD released a statement saying that it also has moved its strength and conditioning programs to virtual settings starting July 6th and going until further notice. The judge also asked parents to consider for the next school year that even if students are able to go back in class, that they take some of those classes remotely to cut down on some of that contact. Reporting in the medical center, Erica Zucco, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.